Welcome to my second video about autism. In this video I will discuss the current problems I experience with my autism. But before I start, I want to give some disclaimers. First, I am not a doctor or psychologist. I speak from my own personal experiences and views only. Second, my views on things may change over time as I get further into my journey into autism and my views expand. Third, these are my autistic traits and issues. Others may experience completely different issues and symptoms. There is no autist alike, and no autist is a classical representation of an autist. Fourth, despite that a lot is to blame due to a lack of timely diagnosis, I blame nobody anymore for not recognizing what was unknown when I was young. Mistakes have been made, as they say nowadays. Having that said, let's start. Putting my current issues into words has been a hard task to do. My biggest issue is the fact that a lot of issues that could be controllable or regulatable have been left unchecked, which resulted in a wildfire of subsequent complications, which became an issue by themselves. And though no autist is alike, there is one issue we tend to have in common: the buildup of stress and anxiety due to our underlying conditions. Whether an autist gets stressed by loud sounds or handling social situations or emotions, the end result is a gradual buildup of stress and anxiety levels, resulting in compensating behavior, increased need for stimming, and if the pressure is not taken off one way or the other, it can result in meltdowns and crashes. What I found for myself is that there are a lot of small things that fill my anxiety level and a few larger ones, but that I have the most issues with the ways I developed to compensate the issues itself and deal with them due to my late diagnosis and lack of proper guidance. Due to the same reason, the development of my stimming and the seeking of sensory stimulation has gone way out of hand, while other qualities I possess have gone to waste or have become issues rather than learning how to develop and use them properly. However, with having my diagnosis and getting access to proper guidance and support, I hope to be able to learn to manage things better. It will be a long and hard journey, but a journey I would like to invite you all to take together with me here on this channel. If you do, please subscribe and hit that bell-like notification button to stay informed of my latest videos. I have made a selection of the most noteworthy and interesting issues I deal with at the moment, and will give some examples on how this affects me. I am not going into every small nuisance I experience, as this would make this video way too long and boring. These issues consist of small things such as being very aware of each buzzing sound of appliances, overhearing every conversation around me, very picky on the fabric I wear, and how certain smells can trigger emotions. And though these things and others can add to my anxiety levels in specific situations, they are too small in effect to explore deeper, and there are a lot of others who go deeper into these topics and the effects on them. The selection I made are two of the most prominent difficulties with the biggest butterfly effect for me, as well as some autistic traits which are both a positive and negative for me, as they were never addressed when I was younger. And I will touch the topic of problematic stimulation seeking as a result, but will elaborate more on that specific topic in a future video. Let's start with the fact that I am not good in acting in social situations. I have issues reading other people's emotional limits. I can get carried away when I talk about something I have a passion for, tend to have a hard time to know when jokes or insults have gone too far, and am known to raise my voice in the most inappropriate settings, oblivious of my surroundings and company. This doesn't mean you can't have a great in-depth purposeful conversation with me, but small talk and politeness questions can annoy me greatly. whether this is in a conversation with me or if I'm forced to overhear it in a conversation 3 tables away, which I cannot block out, which then forces me to consciously be aware to not act annoyed in my own company, to not glaring at those people 3 tables away in anger and disgust, and in extreme cases, keep myself from leaving. The build-up of anxiety gets even worse when I'm in social settings with people I know, such as relatives, because there can be a point where I might come into the situation I actually have to interact with them. As such, I tend to avoid situations where I have to be very social and act more a persona for the duration when I have to. Something I have become rather good at, but comes at the price of adding to the anxiety meter. The main reason why I do not respond to messages on social media that I deem are irrelevant due to its simplicity, content or intent. Just a "Hi, how are you?" will rarely trigger a reaction from me. Just as saying hi and hello and goodbye are things I consciously need to think about and prepare when I meet someone or enter and leave a place. Second big problem for me is my emotional development and how to regulate strong emotions and sudden emotions. This covers a rather broad range of issues which I need to compensate for on the spot and usually need a good amount of time to process afterwards. But to give you an idea of what it means, I will give a few examples. These can be emotions triggered from events I witness on television or in YouTube videos or watching a movie or hearing music. I tend to feel the pain when I see needless suffering or injustice. Something hard to avoid nowadays, and especially with the coronavirus news and current state of the world. It also affects my emotional control. Though I am not a violent person, I can switch from very passionate to sometimes very angry in arguments and switch back to being my calm, kind, regular self when the argument is resolved. Going from 1 to 11 and back in a heartbeat. As an autist, I need to be consciously aware and weigh my worth and consider how they will be perceived as my passion in the conversation grows. Cause if it goes wrong, it means more drama yet again. And though I can lose control and slip up and have an outburst or be overly insensitive or rude without directly realizing it, I am very well aware that I slipped up afterwards and can beat myself up over it afterwards as well, to the point of disregarding my own well-being. Last on the topic of emotions is my own emotional development. How to act, feel and relate to certain emotions did not come natural to me. I learned a lot from Frank Herbert's Dune books, the Babylon 5 science fiction series, to modern anime such as Naruto about dealing with life's events and seem to need regular updates and reminders on topics. Moving on, I have a strong sense of right and wrong as well as a feeling for justice and social injustice. This is a quality which apparently is present in a decent percentage of autists one way or the other, and which in my case went overboard in more than one way. Part of the strong feel of right and wrong comes from our disability to mix in and be part of a single group. Due to our social awkwardness, there remains an emotional distance, and I believe that this has helped me to see and understand things from a third, more neutral perspective by default. Another autistic aspect which supports it is the fact that autists tend to like consistency in both judgment as well as consistent patterns in daily life, making us a sucker for rules and regulations, and breaking the law or rules goes strongly against my nature. The problem here is not that I am very stiff where it are rules concerns. The problem is that what is legal by law is sometimes far from socially acceptable by the standards of the population. I was born in 1980 and I grew up with the notion that the Netherlands was a tolerant country where you can do things as long as it does not break the law. This ideal image is complete nonsense, of course, but as social standards can be rather hypocritical and inconsistent, my autism lets me cling to the standard which is set in stone and apply the rules of law to myself and my actions, rather than what is socially accepted. But if it is allowed, then it should be accepted and tolerated, or the law should change. This clearly something where I still need to find a middle ground in and find my peace with. And last but definitely not least is the way I stim. The way I need to get my stimulations when anxiety levels reach the boiling point. And before I go on, I want to stress that I blame nobody for how things transpired in the past. I had difficulties reading and my motor skills were behind, and my parents did everything in their power to help me overcome those issues and many others. But mistakes were made because of the fact that high-functioning autism in those days was not discovered yet. The stims I developed in my youth, as well as the way on how to mask things, were deemed as bad, immature, and something I definitely had to stop doing, and preferably yesterday. Things such as body twitches, staying too long in my own fantasy world, or mixing my fantasy world into my behavior to cope with things. By denying nor guiding these harmless ways of stimming and masking, it increased my daily anxiety levels, created a habit of letting my anxiety reach to boiling point rather than stimming the anxiety away, and I started to look for different ways to get the anxiety out and stress down in a single instance. I will talk about events in my past and how things came to be in much more detail in future videos. Suffice to say that after a period I started to find my own stims I found in sex, leading to a fairly successful career in prostitution, a HIV infection, and a growing love for the extreme and social media abuse over the period of a few decades, looking for more and stronger stimulations as time went by. For the record, this is a very simplified and definitely not a complete line of events, nor the only reason behind the choices and events that occurred. But I hope I gave a good impression of the butterfly effect, where one issue leads to a certain behavior and creates a certain issue. And I am sure some will say, just stop doing those things. And trust me, I would if I could, which is an issue by itself. My strong sense of right and wrong is applied to myself as well. I am my own critic and judge and know very well that certain things are wrong and stupid, and internally I beat myself up over it, adding to the anxiety pool as a result as well. And once certain anxiety levels reach a certain point, the conscious control I have just is not fast enough to catch up with the emotional surge going through me, and my autism gets free rein and takes over. A good percentage of autists have a hard time forgetting negative situations, scoldings, errors and stupid mistakes they made, as they are and have served as learning points in the past, analyzed them extensively, or in other ways a lot more busy and focused on, often clouding the memories of dominantly positive events, recalling the issue that occurred first and then the rest of what had happened, adding to our existing insecurities and gloomy outlook on life. Unfortunately, autism is not a condition that can be treated and cured. It can, however, be contained, directed and put to use in a positive way. And with the first step, containing it, my cat comes looking around the corner. As I stated in the beginning, this is just a small selection of the issues I deal with. I am glad to inform you that Skitty has helped a lot with my motivational issues, which autistic people can have. Being able to go to extreme lengths for others or their employer, but lacking the motivation to properly look after oneself. She helps me drain part of my anxiety levels with her presence, making extreme stimming unnecessary, and helps me keep my excesses under control. Does it mean I changed? Does it mean my self-destructive fantasies changed? No. But Skitty helps me keep my fantasies a fantasy, and lessens the desire to make it a reality, and inspired me to finally take the step to put my thoughts to paper and out it into the world through these videos. There is no cure for autism, just there is no way to change the color of the skin you were born in. But those who are affected by autism can be taught how to better deal with the issues they have, can be learned how to redirect the energies being built up and used for something positive, can be taught how to handle and deal with social situations better, something I missed out, but for which I am glad I am finally getting the chance to find help and bring a bit of peace and stability in the madness I made out of my life. And with that, I wish to conclude this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it informative. What goes for me does not have to go for other autists, and there is way more to the story than what I just told you in this video. I do believe it highlights some issues which I find underrepresented in other videos concerning these topics on YouTube, and I think it lays a proper basis of understanding for my future videos. I also hope that I was able to make clear on how issues affects and strengthens the others as well. In my next video, I want to talk about the qualities and insights autism provided me in order to balance all this talk about issues and problems. Let's see if we can reach 750 subscribers before I write that script. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you have not done so already. And if you want to follow us on other social media, check the links in the description down below.